Hello my friends, this is Wolfgang with Wolfgang's Healing Circle and Tools for Ascension. Um, Please take everything that I'm saying with a grain of salt. Use me as a sounding board and just accept what resonates with you and what makes sense. I'm not your daddy, I'm not your father, your guru. No, I'm just nobody, so just take whatever you already know and see, what resonates with you and what inspires you, and then go with your inspiration, and in that way you follow your heart, and that's generally the best way to go in a very confusing world with so much information nowadays and sometimes contradicting information. So I had too many people ask me to help them in defense against the dark hearts, and they're asking me to help them in defense against the dark arts. So, and that takes a certain lifestyle, or that would require a certain lifestyle for me, that I'm not willing to adapt. I am neither a mercenary fighting the dark, nor an idealistic monk that fights the dark and that is supported by a huge organization. And as a personal style, I actually like to focus more on love and light, and focusing on the light in other people and bring that out, instead of focusing against attacking or dissolving, and then of course facing retribution from the dark side and constantly defending against them. So please do not ask me to help you with curses and defense. I do not want to take up those courses. But I like to help you and assist you, through this video, which will give you a wide overview about the issue of darkness, and it's by no means complete, but it's also not simplistic. It touches on a lot of points, and here are some good insights for neophytes as well as advanced spiritual people. We will be covering all kinds of levels, and initially this might sound quite confusing and bewildering and difficult to perform, but at the end I will also give some pretty easy, shotgun methods that pretty much everybody can do. But those shotgun methods do not go to the root cause of the issues. So just bear with me. First of all, why do you assume, that you get attacked from the dark side? And before we even go deeper into this issue, what is the dark side? And I personally really like the definition that is described in Ra, the Law of One. This is a free book available free from the internet, published with permission from the author. And basically the definition given is that you love unconditionally. Let's say if the unconditional love or darkness is in a polarity. It's service to self, which would be darkness, and service to other self, which would be unconditional love or light. So God is kind of biased, and this universe is biased to service to other self, and but service to self has been quite prominent, on this planet for many thousands of years. So Lord. So so the more somebody is focused on service to self, the more dark it becomes. Let's just leave it as that. So there must be some reasons why do you feel or think that you're being attacked, and some of those, could be, really bad luck, or periodic bouts of depression, probably, or just feeling of malaise, just specifically happening at full moon or new moon. Lots of accident, and even, let's say, hostile environment. Wherever you are, people are very unfriendly to you. And there could also be thoughts, that excessively support your vices. Suddenly this comes on, you're living a virtuous life, and suddenly those wild thoughts come up, and you're wondering where they're coming from. Like anything that pushes you towards intoxication, anger, sexual excesses, or gluttony, just to give some examples. And also just the lack of energy, being wiped out, and of course, getting sick. So these all could be due to different types of attacks. On the lowest level, we have critters. These are like rat-like astral entities that may lodge in your body, or maybe that have been in your body for many incarnations. There could be ghosts living in you. Many people pick up ghosts when they're heavily intoxicated, or when they are under anesthesia, which is also, again, intoxication, or very sick, means their force field is very weak. And also many people pick up ghosts when they're in accidents, then their body is very unprotected, their force field is very shattered, and then entities can get in and basically, exploit your body like a whore. Just take advantage, trash it out, to satisfy, their desires. Then we also have demons, which are not on the angelic level, but which maybe in our world are the counterpart to the goodness of the angels. These are entities that enjoy to inflict pain, anxiety, and fear, and they actually harvest those energies that we're giving up. And just like we are harvesting the milk from cows, they harvest, demons harvest human fear, anxiety, lust, greed, all those negative emotions. They really enjoy those. And then also, so they will telepathically guide you to to lower your vibration and to give off a lot of energy, of those negative energies. And so they're telepathic and affect your thoughts and exploit your tendencies. If you have a tendency to be angry, they will push you or throw you thoughts of anger. If you are more fearful, they will nourish this. If you're jealous, they will try to nourish that. Then there are also curses that have been put on you, maybe in this lifetime and maybe in past lifetimes. A lot of curses coming from past life, because that was just more like the technology in those times. And some of those can be very old, like from ancient Egypt or from Atlantis. People were very powerful in those time periods and very knowledgeable and highly trained. And so those curses last a long time and follow you around from incarnation to incarnation. Those curses are, in essence, thought forms, very strong thought forms, very precisely thought, visualized, charged with emotions, that were programmed, to follow you around. Or they can also be entities that have been pressed into service and charged, with the duty of harassing you. And you can, of course, liberate those. That's a great service to them and to yourself. And some people even program devices like crystals or metals to keep projecting bad energy onto you, like psionic devices. And of course there are also very powerful forces nowadays that use high technology, like microwave, elves, extra low frequency, and other spectrums to affect your mind and emotions in a negative way. But I will not talk more about those things. Just research yourself on the internet, maybe on YouTube. Just start with HARP and see what comes up. So then also another class of negative influences in your life, texts from the dark arts, are cordings. Cordings can be established. Cordings are energy pathways that can go through time and dimensions, and they are plugged into your chakras, into your force field, and energy can be exchanged through those, and people can be manipulated through those. And in general, recording happens, with people that you have sex with, but also, loved ones, people that you're very close with, and also another part of coding happens when there is torture or ceremonial black magic. Those codings are very, very powerful when they're implanted, and I've seen many past life regressions where the dark ones during the Inquisition were overshadowing the torturers and calling the light workers, or witches, that were tortured, in the name of the Inquisition, in the name of love of Christ. And so there, those people, could still, those light workers could still be manipulated from the dark side through those callings. So of course, once you go back to those times and have the angel remove those, those influences will not be there anymore. Another form of accessing your energy is through guilt. As you probably know, every schoolyard bully, generally, if they're kind of smart, install guilt in their victims, although it's kind of ludicrous, and then, they wail on him. And so guilt opens you up, opens up your force field, leaves holes in your force field, and the way and makes you open to attack. Also, when you feel guilty, you will not accept the love and protection of God or higher positive entities. And actually, when you have guilt, you will kind of want a punishment, because you think you deserve it. And so a lot of guilt is being installed into humans through lose-lose situations, which are like a very nice device of the dark side. I've seen in many past life regressions where light workers were set up with lose-lose choices, like either we kill the whole village and leave your family alive, or we kill your family and leave the village alive. So there is no way, to win that. And so people, those light workers, had strong guilt, and then were open to be influenced throughout incarnation, throughout the times. So through deep, if you're an advanced light worker, you might be able to do that with yourself. Go back into past lives, maybe check out with a pendulum, see if you carry guilt that is being exploited from the dark side, and then, go back and eradicate that. Same with, have you been tortured by the Inquisition? Have you been implanted? Or have you been abducted and have been implanted, in, let's say, MyLab abduction? And if you don't know what that is, check it out on YouTube. Or, other, like, higher intelligence beings in service to self. Are you being manipulated through implantations? Implantations can also happen through mechanical devices, as well as magical devices from the astral plane that have been created on the astral plane through visualization and have been implanted into you. And so those kind of things can be removed by either seeing them clairvoyantly, or maybe feeling them, or figuring out where they are with a pendulum or kinesiology. And I would advise, angelic help. It's always so wonderful things, once you have identified, what it is, where it came from, and how it came to you. The more you know about it, the more powerful healing is going to be. The more you go by a shotgun method, probably the least powerful it is. So if I say, the angels, please remove all the black magic cordings into me from the timeline, amen. Something will happen, and there maybe is an erasing of those things, but, it's probably a lot more concise, if I go to a particular event in a past life and change all that and have that be cleared out. After all, this is, in a way, a learning experience, and this is a school. And so once the lesson is learned, there's a reward of having less suffering and becoming more of a higher vibration. So now let's get to the to the remedies, and I hope I have not scared you too much. It might just appear to be a little bit overwhelming, what I have told you, but there is also a lot of help out there. One thing is, one really surefire method is water. Water is wonderful, especially when you're on a bridge. The water just tears away on astral matter and is very purifying, and for ghosts and critters and even demons, it is much more difficult. They lose their power over them. I mean, it's not that they're completely defeated, but they're not that powerful and cannot affect your mind. There comes a story to mind where somebody I knew was just about to, a demon got into his head and telepathically affecting that person and, forcing him to shoot himself with a shotgun. And somehow or other, that person went into the woods to do that, and then basically collapsed, exhausted, over a spring. And that saved his life because the demon did not have that much power over the water. So it's very good, but it's not really a cure-all. It just maybe alleviates very, very chronic or very urgent issues. Probably the next step up is like a nice hot bath that has been infused with crystals, with salts like Epsom salt or sea salt, or in a heavy case, maybe half a cup or a cup of Clorox. Ghosts really don't like Clorox. Clorox is a heavy-duty purifier, but be warned, Clorox is also very toxic. It's chlorine. A lot of people are allergic to it. But also know that there are a lot of convents where the nuns take, one of those Clorox baths, once a week. I mean, it really does a good job. You feel clear, you can, yeah. I kicked a lot of flus and other things, with the Clorox bath too. And, you can also do, like when you do a bath like this, do a lot of breath work, like a rebirthing, connected breath, like a rebirthing or holotropic breath. Kind of breath of fire or something like that. And, there's going to be more purification. Personally, get more power. There are also, you can use gongs, or conch shell, this is the thing in the back, that you blow, or chimes. They're very annoying to ghosts, demons, and critters. Generally, with a good conching, with a conch shell in, foot, in front of you, or big heavy gong, you can get critters out for sure, and you might even get some ghosts out. Some weak ghosts, but most likely they're going to come back unless you learn your lesson and kind of there is a reason why they got into you. So many ghosts come back. So just kicking them out many times does not work because they come back again. Really. And then there's, of course, a smudge, or mirror, or any of those herbs and resins that are used ceremonially, whether it's Nag Champa or Tibetan incense, or frankincense. Frankincense is very good. And of course, if you invoke the spirits, the overshadowing intelligence, of those substances, this will be more powerful, and you can cleanse yourself. But it's just a temporary fix. It will not be permanent. And it's kind of difficult, to do in your office and here and there. Maybe you can do this in your private space, but those things are not permanent. More permanent defense against, let's say, black magic curses sent against you, especially curses, is wearing a kyanite. This is, kyanite is available in different colors, generally as a defense against black magic. Black is always the preferred color. And the special advantage of kyanite is that the strata, the matrix is kind of scattered and works as a scrambler. And it's very, very powerful against ritual, formal, black magic, thought forms, sent against you. Very, very powerful. Another wonderful actually every black stone, let me just get to that, is a good defense against dark energies, because they'll tend to ground you. That means the energy pathways that go through your legs, that drain your negative, your low chi, will discharge easier into the ground, into the earth, in a natural way, and so the negative energy that is being projected onto you just drains out into the earth and does not get stuck in you. The less grounded you are, the easier, the energies get stuck with you, and you get toxic and contaminated by those low thought forms and energies. So black stones, further that, also probably hematite and metals, around your ankles, will help a lot. And if you know how to do chakra breathing or qigong techniques, use a lot of grounding, where you visualize that you're extending your legs and your spine into the earth and root them out like a big tree, and then you just draw loving earth energy with a smile into yourself. And on the exhale, you sewer out through your legs and through those roots into the earth your dark energy, your pain, your negative emotions, and you just keep going back and forth. So this is grounding and a very, very powerful defense. It's like trying to make a swimming pool, overflow when you have a big drain open at the bottom. It's more difficult. Then, of course, there's also citrine. This is this yellow. It's a type of quartz with a yellow color, and also very purifying to everything around. And so you can, all those stones. Oh yeah, and then we have mica. Now mica is kind of like a little bit like glass, but it has all this. It's transparent. It has all those different layers. And through this layering, it affects your force field in a way, and it makes it also very difficult for outside forces, to penetrate this. Especially when you charge up those stones with your own loving chi that you draw from heaven and earth. If you know qigong or chakra breathing, just smile into them, send your energy into them, and ask them, please protect me from any negative influences, that only love and positive things come to me. Amen. Maybe say that 3 times. Please protect me from any negative black magic influences, and that only love and positive vibrations will come to me. Amen. And just amen. And then, you can put those into like a leather bag and wear this around your neck, especially, you want to have those things, over, your thymus gland, which is, your immune system, and your higher heart chakra, the more evolved heart chakra. Or, when you're women, you can load your bra, or you wear pockets, shirts with pockets like me, and, you just stick those in. Or you have them part of your jewelry, and, wear those things again, or wear them as rings. Though I think the best spot is kind of here, and in the back of your neck, where your telepathic channels plug in. And so you might just make yourself some kind of chain where you have like a nice piece of turquoise, at the back of your neck, and then the other good stuff in front of your thymus. So those things, of course, should be worn day and night. And they will do a pretty good job, and they should be purified, I think, on a regular basis, like, on the divine symbol. Or, there are so many other methods, on how to purify gems and crystals. I do not want to get into them now. And you should always thank them, and then they will do some pretty good service to you, but still it will just be a protective measure, and it will not get to the root cause. Similar to those crystals, of course everybody knows about that, is salt, or just having also a lot of crystals around, purified crystals, maybe that have been programmed for protection in your whole room. but you can also, just sprinkle salt, around your bed, or along the room, or wherever you are. And you can buy, let's say, 40 pounds of salt, for the swimming pool, for $7. Let's say at places like Walmart, and 40 pounds of salt crystals. That's a lot of salt crystals that can last you a long time. This is very good, and really messes up, any evil spirits and this and that, but still not going through the root cause. Of course, then, another way, everything that you do to purify yourself, even if you're under attack and, you're being filled with negative thoughts or negative emotional energy that is being projected onto you, from, let's say, ghosts, telepathic ghosts, demons, thought forms, from magicians, witches, negative witches, or even critters, diseases, they're also entity. Many flus are entities. Leprosy is an entity. They all affect your emotions, and when your emotions go down, when you're depressed, then your immune system goes down, and then their physical body, their virus, for instance, or, those bacteria, they can invade your body. See a disease more like a group consciousness, like an anthill or a beehive, where there's one overshadowing consciousness, and then the bees or the ants or the viruses or the bacteria, they're more the legion of physical bodies that are grouped under one entity. So they can also, try to affect your emotions, and I would consider that some type of dark magic. And so, anything you do to, basically brighten your mood and get more loving chi into yourself, will help. So we already talked about grounding. You can also connect to heaven, open your crown chakra and invoke angels and pull in love into your heart and expand it, with smiles. Through smile, you actually manipulate normal chi, or any type of chi, into positive, loving chi. And of course, you can use the divine symbol and sit on the divine symbol when you meditate, or put this divine symbol under your feet. And I have a video out, where I talk about the divine symbol, and also on my website you can download the divine symbol for free and print it on your computer printer. So, very nice method, so any type of breath work or chakra work, where you, let's say, draw the light up from the earth and then, blow out through visualization, your different chakras, or wherever it's tight, blow out your liver, when it feels tight and angry there, or your lungs, or, your heart, or your neck, wherever, it doesn't feel right, that will help a lot, and, counteract any damage that is being done to you. Another method is, besides, breath and aura work, are like devices, that you put around you at night. Some people in many cultures, they use an egg, and you shake it, a raw egg, and you shake it like, in left and right side of your head, and in this way it takes up your vibration, and then you just rest it, besides your bed at night, and any energy being sent to you at night, where you're the most vulnerable and the most open, will be absorbed by the egg, and then you just toss the egg away. Or you can do this like with a glass of water, you fill it with water, and again you program it with your vibration, shaking it left and right, and then leave it beside the bed at night, and it will absorb the negative stuff being sent to you, and then make sure you throw it away. Don't put it in your garden. Not a good idea. Um, that will still, that's a good protection, but it's a lot of trouble, to go through this every night. And, it just doesn't get to the root cause. Now, now we can, advance maybe to a more advanced, methods where we just basically, appeal to higher dimensional entities, through prayer, prayer for protection. In most religious traditions, there are certain deities or saints, or angels, archangels like Archangel Michael, that you turn to, to protect you. And so just, you have to ask, for it. So it's a good way, to, in the morning, to ask God, or more the subsidiaries, like Archangel Michael or Jesus Christ, or Mother Mary or Kuan Yin, the Ascended Masters, your own spirit guides, the whole, everything, can give you a certain amount of protection. And the more specifically you ask, the more specifically, you will be given this protection. And, if you don't do this, in the morning, at least I advise you to do this before you drive a car, because in a car you're very, very vulnerable by, let's say, being over to where your thoughts, being taken over by, the telepathic influences that we discussed before, and you might get distracted, not see certain things. Or, which happens a lot more often and much more easier, is when there is a driver that's intoxicated, somebody else, or if you're driving drunk, this can happen to you too, that, your thoughts, or the other person's thoughts get invaded, and they get distracted, or just suddenly they turn, the wheel over and just crash into you. It's just takes a second or two of infringement of free will, or maybe even just enticing somebody to a road rage, and that is already intoxicated, means open to attack, and it already has an angry nature, so to entice that person maybe to run you off the road or some other crazy stuff. So, car accidents, can mess you up within seconds for the rest of your life. So I strongly recommend that you, practice, do some prayers for protection, whenever, you hit the road. You can also ask that certain curses are being taken away from you. The more specific, again, that you ask, and the more that you see the lesson that was involved, the more help you're going to get. As I said before, this is a learning universe, and this 3D world is a learning school, and so sometimes it might be necessary for you to go into past lives and to forgive certain people, or to ask for forgiveness, or to talk to angry ghosts that are haunting you because you did them wrong in past lives, and help them actually to get into heaven, and pacify them. There are some ghosts that, are staunch followers of the Dark Lords, and they will not want to go into heaven, and there's nothing you can do, it's free will. But then you can ask, let's say, Archangel Michael to quarantine those beings, that they will not be able to affect you anymore. And sometimes, there are beings that are being pressed into service, through black magic ritual, or just powerful mind, to harass you, and they'd rather be in hell or some other place. And you can just Archangel Michael, if they would be okay, to grant them that, and, to remove this binding on them, because most of those binding spells are infringement on free will. And whenever there's an infringement on free will, you certainly gonna get the help of Archangel Michael and other divine beings. And just send them, they're gonna go to hell, and that's where they like it. And you're not gonna get bugged by that being anymore, and you actually helped somebody, that was in a situation they didn't like. And so same with ghosts, I prefer to just send them into heaven. There's a lot of help there, and I did some videos on it. Check that out if you're interested in, if you're advanced. You'd be amazed how much ghosts, affect people's, big time light workers with followers and all that, and they're being harassed by ghosts and they don't even know it. So don't be too proud, that you think, oh, I've been meditating for 40 years, no ghost is going to mess with me. Use a pendulum, or, use whatever other divination method you have, like kinesiology, and just humbly inquire whether a ghost affect your life, yes or no, whether there are enemy ghosts harassing you, yes or no, whether there are ghost hitchhikers on you, whether you have critters, whether there are demonic influences on you, just demons trying to affect you, whether they have a back door into you, etc., etc. Please, do not think that you are above those things. Big mistakes. Many light workers, in past lives have been walking the dark road, just as part of the experience. If you're living in duality, you learn from, living this side, living that side, and, then you have experience and you know what is good. That is why the story of the lost son, in the Bible is such a powerful story, because the lost son, he knows what is good and not, because he tried it. Whereas the son that never went out, his experiences and his convictions are not that strong. So that's the whole idea about that story. So a lot of light workers have walked the dark path, and maybe there is still some debt there that karmically to the dark side, or the dark side is trying to claim him, like in Dr. Faust from Goethe, one of those battles. So always, good to know what is going on, to find out in some way, and then ask, Archangel Michael or some other powerful deities, to remove those binding things, to give insight, and to remove any obstacles, and to protect you from now on, and maybe even clear the whole timeline, the incarnations. In general, of course, the one of the best defenses is to, lead a virtuous life. We all know about the virtues and the sins, and well, yeah, that has a lot to do with light and dark. But ultimately, of course, we are transcending beings, and we are coming from a level, beyond duality, and from a higher dimensional point of view. This whole dark forces and light forces are just part of the game of duality, which is, part of 3D and part of learning lesson, just like a, good movie or a good stage act, always has a villain, has a hero, and then has a lot of drama, back and forth, that makes this interesting. The Hindus call this divine Leela, and some of the most elevated beings have played the role of the dark side, just to make the plot really interesting. So, if you find out that you maybe were a dark magician in a past life, don't freak out. It's maybe part of the divine plan, and just, go to the dark side, and even maybe liberate the dark aspect, of yours that is maybe still crawling around as a ghost, or has been black magically trapped. Get in the cavalry, calling on Archangel Michael, and, liberate that person, and, guide him into heaven. And as as a conclusion, try to smile and try not to frown. When you smile, you're open to love. When you frown, you're open to anger, to negative emotion. And I'm not saying, to be a mask or to be a fake, but these are mudras and they can support somebody that is conscious. So, love and light to you all. Namaste.